The cold metal floor sent a sharp chill through the human's knees as he was forced down by two alien guards. His wrists were bound with glowing restraints that tightened each time he moved. The chamber was dimly lit, only the flicker of red lights filling the room. He could feel dozens of alien eyes watching him from the shadows. The commander stepped forward, tall and intimidating. His armor was black as night, with sharp edges that gleamed under the faint light. His voice echoed in the chamber. "Deep and merciless, human, you will make a choice tonight. 2 lives hang in your hands." From the side doors, 2 alien girls were brought into the chamber. They were sisters chained by their wrists. Their skin shimmered faintly in pale silver tones, and their large eyes glowed with fear. They were young, fragile, yet beautiful in their alien way. Their steps were weak as the guards pushed them forward, and they fell to their knees before the human. The human's breath caught in his throat.
He had faced war, he had faced death, but this
was something far worse. He was being asked to decide who deserved to live and who must die. The commander's words cut through him like blades. "Pick one sister to survive, human. The other will be executed now, refuse. And both will perish." The chamber grew silent. Only the sound of the sisters' breathing filled the air. They looked at each other. "Their chains clinking softly," one of them whispered, voice trembling. "Please save her, not me." She turned her glowing eyes to the human, begging him not for her life but for her sister's. The other sister shook her head quickly, her voice breaking. "No, save her, she is kinder. She is stronger, I am nothing, let me be the one." Tears slid down her silver cheeks, and her chains rattled as she reached for her sister's hand. The human's chest tightened, his mind screamed in protest. How could anyone make such a choice? It was no trial, it was cruelty. He tried to speak, but the words caught in his throat. Finally, he forced them out. "I will not choose." The commander's lips curved into a cold smile. His voice was sharp with mockery. "Then you doom them both. Perhaps humanity is weak after all. Perhaps your kind lacks the courage to face hard decisions." The sisters gasped, their eyes widened with horror. Their bodies trembled, yet even in that moment, they tried to protect each other. Each girl begged for the other's life, not her own. The human's heart broke at the sight. He searched the room with his eyes. Every detail mattered. The guards stood firm, weapons ready. The commander loomed with pride, enjoying his suffering. The sisters knelt in chains, fragile and helpless. He clenched his fists inside the restraints. Pain shot through his arms, but he didn't care. He could not allow this cruelty to stand. He thought of Earth, of humanity, of the stories that had shaped him. He thought of how humans survived not by strength alone, but by refusing to abandon one another. The commander wanted to see him break, wanted to make him surrender his soul, but surrender was something he could never give. "Human!" the commander barked, his voice like thunder. "Choose now, or their blood will stain this floor." The ticking sound of a clock echoed through his mind, though there was no clock in the room. He felt the weight of every passing second. He looked into the eyes of the sisters, so filled with fear yet also with love. They were willing to die for each other. That was something even death could not destroy. The human took a slow breath, his voice came out steady, though his heart pounded like war drums. "If you want blood, then take mine. I will not choose between them." The chamber erupted in whispers. The alien guards shifted uneasily. The commander narrowed his eyes. His cruel game had not gone as expected. The human had refused, not with fear, but with defiance. The commander's voice dropped lower, darker. "Do you think you can defy me, human? Do you think you can save them both?" He leaned closer, his gaze sharp as blades. "Then watch as your weakness destroys them." The sisters cried out as the guards raised their weapons. Their voices cracked with desperation. "No, stop, please." The human's body tensed. His mind raced. He knew he had seconds, only seconds, to act or watch innocence die before his eyes. Sweat dripped from his brow. His breath came sharp and heavy. His every sense screamed at him. The moment of choice was here. And yet he would not choose, he would fight. The chamber hung on the edge of violence, every alien in the room waiting for what the human would do next. The impossible choice had been set before him, but deep inside he knew the truth. The only real choice was whether to break or to rise. And as the red lights flickered across his face, the human's eyes hardened like steel. His fate and the fate of the sisters would be decided in the moments to come. The guards stood still, weapons raised, their glowing blades humming in the silence. The human's words still echoed through the chamber, defiant and unyielding. If you want blood, then take mine. I will not choose between them. His voice was steady, but inside his heart pounded. The commander tilted his head slowly, his smile thin and cruel. He did not answer right away. Instead, he let the silence grow heavier, choking the air like smoke. Finally, he spoke, his tone sharp. How noble, how foolish, but this is not about you. Human, this is about power, and tonight, power belongs to me. At that moment, the younger sister fell forward onto her knees. Her chains clattered against the floor. She pressed her forehead down and cried out, "Please save her. She is stronger. She is braver. I am not needed. I do not deserve life." Her voice cracked, tears spilling freely, her whole body shook. Yet her words were not for herself. They were for her sister. The older sister jerked against her chains, her eyes wide with horror. "No, stop, do not say that. Your life matters. You are kind, you are gentle, you deserve to live." She turned to the human, her silver eyes shimmering with desperation. "Choose me instead, spare her, she has a good heart. She has always cared for others more than herself." The human's throat tightened. He had expected fear. He had expected begging for survival. But what he saw broke him inside. Each sister was ready to die for the other. Neither valued her own life. They only wanted the other to be saved. Their love for one another was so pure it burned like fire in the darkness. He tried to speak, but his voice faltered. "No, I cannot, I will not choose," his words trembled. But his eyes did not. He looked at both of them, seeing their bond, seeing the strength in their sacrifice, and he felt anger rising. Anger not at them, but at the twisted cruelty that had put them in this trap. The commander paced slowly in front of them, his boots striking the floor with sharp echoes. His dark eyes studied the human like a predator. "They beg you to choose. Human, yet you refuse. You call this compassion. I call it cowardice." His lips curved into a sneer. "You think love makes you strong, but here, love will destroy you." The human shook his head. His voice grew firmer. "No, Commander, you are wrong. Love is what makes us unbreakable." The commander's smile faded, his expression hardened. He turned to the guards and barked an order in their guttural alien tongue. The guards stepped closer, their weapons aimed at the sisters. The air vibrated with deadly energy. The sisters clung to each other. Their chains rattling, the younger one whispered, "Please, human, save her, even if it means I must die." The older one shook her head violently. "No, save her. She has more to live for. She deserves the world." The human's heart raced. He felt trapped in a nightmare, every second stretched longer. His mind screamed to act, but his body was bound. His restraints burned against his wrists, glowing brighter the more he struggled. He could almost feel them cutting into his skin. He forced himself to look directly into the sister's eyes. "Listen to me, both of you. I will not let either of you die, do you understand? I will not give in to this cruelty." His voice was calm but filled with fire. He wanted them to hear the truth in his words. Even if his body failed him, the older sister's lips trembled. Her voice broke into a whisper. "But how? You cannot fight them all. You cannot break these chains." The human clenched his jaw, his gaze never leaving hers. "Then I will die trying. But I will never let their game decide your lives." The commander laughed, a harsh, echoing sound. "Such brave words, human, such empty hope. But hope does not stop death. You cannot save them both. The universe demands sacrifice, and tonight, you must learn it." The sisters wept silently, holding on to each other, their hands chained, but their fingers stretched just far enough to touch. That single connection, that fragile bond of skin to skin, gave them strength. They did not look at the commander, nor at the guards. They looked only at each other. The human saw this, and something deep inside him shifted. He realized this was not just about survival. This was about proving something greater. This was about showing that compassion was not weakness, but the strongest weapon humanity had. The silence stretched again. The commander raised his hand, ready to give the final order. His voice boomed across the chamber. "Enough waiting, choose. Or watch them both perish now." The sisters cried out together, each screaming for the other to be spared. Their voices overlapped in desperate harmony. "Save her, not me." The human's eyes blazed. His heart thundered. He refused to bow, refused to break, and as the commander's hand dropped to signal execution, the human leaned forward and shouted with all his strength, his voice cutting like a blade. "Then you will kill me first, because I will never choose." The chamber fell into stunned silence. The sisters froze, their tear-filled eyes locked on him. The guards hesitated, their weapons humming but their hands uncertain. The commander's sneer faltered for the briefest second. In that fragile pause, hope flickered, not just in the sisters' hearts, but in the humans too. For the first time, he saw the faintest crack in the commander's cruelty, and deep within, the human began to form a plan. A dangerous, reckless plan, but one that might save them all. The chamber's silence was heavy. Every guard in the room waited for the commander's final word. The sisters clung to each other, their chains rattling softly. Their silver eyes burned with tears, but their spirits did not break. They had begged for each other's lives, and now they watched the human with desperate hope. The commander lowered his raised hand slowly, his gaze narrowed, sharp and full of rage. "You think you are clever, human," he hissed. "You think sacrifice is noble, but I see weakness. I see fear hiding behind your defiance." The human straightened as much as the glowing restraints allowed. His arms ached, his knees throbbed against the cold floor. But his voice was steady. "You are wrong, Commander. Fear is what drives men like you. Fear of love, fear of compassion. You try to break it because you know you can never control it." The commander's jaw tightened. His dark eyes flicked toward the guards. Then back to the human, his voice thundered. "Enough of your foolish words. This is not a debate, this is law. You will choose now or die with them." The human's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. It was not arrogance, but quiet defiance. "And then kill me. But you will never have my obedience." A ripple of unease spread through the guards. Some shifted their stance, their weapons humming in their hands. They were trained to obey, yet something in the human's unyielding voice stirred doubt. They glanced at each other, uncertain. The human noticed it. He studied their eyes, the way their grips faltered. He could feel cracks forming in the commander's control. The guards were soldiers, but they were not made of stone. They could see the cruelty in the trial, and some of them did not like it. The commander, sensing this hesitation, raised his voice louder, harsher. "Do not waver. He is nothing but prey, a fragile creature trying to play hero. He will break like all the others before him." His words lashed like a whip, but the tension in the room did not vanish. The human leaned forward slightly, his chains glowing brighter with the movement. Pain seared into his wrists, but he ignored it. His eyes fixed on the commander. "You think strength is measured by cruelty. You think power comes from forcing others to suffer? But you are blind. Strength is not in breaking lives. It is in saving them." The commander's sneer deepened. His hand gripped the hilt of the blade at his side. He stepped closer, towering over the human. "You dare lecture me, human. You are in chains, kneeling before me, and still you act as if you have power." The human's voice lowered but sharpened like steel. "I do have power because I still have a choice. And I choose to protect them." The sisters' eyes widened. Hope flickered across their faces. They had seen cruelty their whole lives, but never such defiance. Never such strength in someone who had nothing left. The commander's blade hummed as he pulled it halfway from its sheath. Sparks of energy lit the air around it. The guards tensed, ready to strike, yet even now, the human did not bow. His gaze was steady, unyielding inside. His mind worked quickly. He studied every corner of the chamber. The guards' placements, the doors, the weapons. Every detail mattered. He noticed the way two guards near the back held their weapons loosely, as if uncertain. He noticed the way the door's locking mechanism glowed faintly, perhaps vulnerable to overload. He noticed the guards' hesitation when the sisters cried. He began to form a plan, reckless but possible. He could not overpower them by strength alone, but perhaps he could turn their doubts, sow hesitation, and buy just enough time. "Look at them!" The human shouted suddenly, his voice cutting through the tension. He turned his head toward the guards. "Look at these sisters. Chained and innocent, would you kill them? Would you murder them simply because one man tells you to? Is that honor?" The guards froze, their eyes flickered between each other. Between the sisters, between the commander. The chamber grew restless, the commander barked, furious. "Do not listen to him, he is trying to poison your minds. He is weak, he is human. He knows nothing of our ways." The human's voice grew stronger. "I may be human, but I know this. Murdering the innocent is not strength. It is cowardice, and if you follow his order, then you are not soldiers, you are butchers." The words struck deep. He saw it in their faces, cracks widening, doubt spreading. The commander's control was slipping. His fury blazed, his voice thundered, "Silence him. Now 2 guards stepped forward reluctantly, their weapons raised. Their hands trembled as they aimed at the sisters. The human's heart raced. He could see the moment coming. The final order was seconds away. He had to move soon, but he needed one last push. He looked at the sisters, their hands clutched together, their eyes locked on him with faith he did not deserve but could not betray. He drew in a deep breath and shouted with every ounce of strength left in him, "You may kill me, you may kill them, but you will never kill the truth. The truth that love is stronger than your chains, stronger than your fear, stronger than your empire." The chamber shook with his words. The sisters gasped, tears streaming down their faces. Several guards faltered, lowering their weapons slightly. The commander roared in fury, stepping closer with his blade raised high. But the human was ready, pain or not, chains or not. He would not bow in that instant. His defiance burned brighter than fear. And though he was surrounded by enemies, he knew one thing with certainty. This was the moment he would fight back. The commander's blade glowed with deadly energy as he raised it high. His eyes burned with fury, ready to strike down the human who dared to defy him. The guards tightened their grips on their weapons, but hesitation still flickered in their movements. The sisters clung to each other, trembling, yet their eyes never left the human. They waited, desperate for any sign that hope still lived. The human knew he had only moments. His body ached from the restraints, but his mind raced. He had studied every corner of the chamber, every flicker of doubt in the guard's eyes. He understood now that his strength did not come from chains breaking or weapons stolen. His strength came from words, from turning the commander's own cruelty against him. He spoke suddenly, his voice ringing out strong. "Look at your commander, look at the choice he gives. Does this honor your people? Does this show strength? Or does it show fear?" A murmur spread among the guards, some shifted uncomfortably. The commander's jaw tightened, he barked, "Do not listen. He is trying to divide us." The human seized the moment. "He says I am weak because I refuse to kill, but ask yourselves who is truly weak. The one who saves or the one who slaughters?" His voice was sharp. His words aimed not at the commander, but at the soldiers who wavered. One guard lowered his weapon slightly. His eyes moved between the sisters and the human. The commander noticed and snarled, "Raise your weapon, soldier. That is an order." But the hesitation was real now, spreading like cracks through glass. The human pushed harder. "You call yourselves warriors, protectors. Yet here you are, ready to kill 2 innocent girls who beg for each other's lives. Tell me, is this the pride of your empire?" The sisters, their chains rattling softly, lifted their heads, their voices, weak but determined, joined his. The older sister cried out, "We have done nothing." "We do not deserve this," the younger added. "Please listen. Do not let him use you for his cruelty." The guards froze. Their hands trembling, the chamber grew restless. The commander roared with rage. His blade slashed downward toward the human. Sparks lit the air. The human twisted, his restraints pulling tight. The energy blade missed his neck by inches, striking the floor. The stone hissed and burned where it hit. Pain surged through the human's wrists as he pulled hard against the restraints. They glowed brighter, cutting into his skin. But he used the moment, his voice thundered, "If you want to kill, then kill me. But know this. Every drop of innocent blood spilled tonight will not make your empire strong. It will make it rot." The words cut deeper than steel. 2 guards stepped back. Lowering their weapons, the sisters gasped, hope flickering in their eyes. The commander snarled, furious, "Traitors! Do your duty or face my blade." But the human saw his chance. He leaned forward, his voice steady. "You see, Commander, it is not me who is losing, it is you. You wanted me to choose death, but I chose defiance, and your soldiers see it."
"They see the truth you fear," the commander lunged.
His blade swung again, but the human shifted at the last second. The strike hit his restraints instead. Sparks exploded. The energy surged through the cuffs, cracking one of them. The human's heart leapt. His arm seared with pain, but he forced his wrist free. His left hand was free now. Blood dripping down his skin, he moved fast, grabbing the fallen shard of broken chain glowing with heat. The guard shouted, chaos erupted. Some aimed their weapons, others froze in shock. The sisters cried out as the human surged to his feet, swinging the broken chain like a whip. The glowing shard struck the closest guard's weapon, knocking it aside with a burst of sparks. The chamber exploded into movement. The commander roared orders, his voice drowned by the clash of energy blades and the ringing of chains. The human ducked low, his body burning with adrenaline. He swung the broken cuff again, striking another guard in the leg. The soldier stumbled, his weapon clattering across the floor. The sisters pulled against their restraints. Their voices rang out, desperate. "Human, here. Free us." Their chains rattled as they reached toward him. Their eyes blazed with hope. The human grabbed the fallen weapon, its handle hot in his grip. He spun and slashed through the older sister's bonds. Sparks flew as the chain snapped. She gasped, her arms finally free. She immediately turned and shielded her younger sister with her body. The commander bellowed with rage, "Stop him! Stop them all!" His blade glowed brighter as he charged forward. The human stepped between him and the sisters, his chest heaving, his arms shaking, but his eyes like steel. "No more," he growled. The guards hesitated again. Some still aimed their weapons, but others lowered them fully, torn between fear of their commander and the human's unshakable will. The chamber was no longer united, it was split, and the commander felt it. The human raised the glowing weapon in his hand. His voice thundered, "This ends tonight. You will not take their lives, not while I still breathe." The commander stopped just short of striking. His eyes locked with the human's. A deadly silence fell across the chamber. It was a gamble, a reckless, dangerous gamble. The human was only one man, injured, bleeding, exhausted, but he had planted the seed of doubt. He had broken the commander's control, and in that moment, the future balanced on the edge of a blade. The chamber was chaos. Alarms blared through hidden speakers, red lights flashing across the walls. Guards shouted orders in panic, some charging forward, others stepping back in fear. The human stood in the center, his body tense, one wrist still bound, blood dripping from the broken cuff. He gripped the stolen weapon tightly, its humming edge glowing in the dark. The older sister knelt beside the younger one, shielding her with trembling arms. Her chains rattled as she turned to the human. "Free her, please." Her silver eyes burned with desperate hope. The human nodded once, quick and sharp. He swung the weapon downward, sparks flying as the glowing metal cut through the younger sister's restraints. The chain snapped apart with a sharp crack. The younger sister gasped, pulling her hands free for the first time. She clung to her sister, her thin body shaking. Yet there was fire in her gaze. The commander's voice cut through the noise like a blade. "Kill them all. Do not let them leave this chamber alive." His tone was thunder. Heavy with fury, the guards surged forward, weapons flashing. The human spun, his stolen blade intercepting the first strike. Sparks showered the floor as metal clashed against energy. His arms shook with the impact, but he pushed back. Knocking the guard off balance with his free hand, he grabbed the soldier's shoulder and shoved hard, sending him stumbling into two others. The older sister grabbed the fallen chain and swung it clumsily. Striking a guard across the face, he stumbled back in surprise. His weapon slipping from his hands, she seized it. Her breath ragged but her stance firm. For the first time, she was no longer a victim. She was a fighter. The younger sister clutched her broken restraints and cried out, "Behind you!" The human turned just in time to block another strike. Pain ripped through his arm, but he didn't stop. He spun and countered. Striking the guard in the chest, the soldier fell to the ground, groaning. The chamber shook as more alarms screamed. The massive doors at the far end began to seal. Heavy locks sliding into place, the commander raised his hand, shouting over the noise, "Seal them in, no one leaves." The human's eyes darted toward the closing doors. His heart hammered, they had only seconds. "Move," he shouted, his voice cracked like thunder. "Now. Run." The sisters scrambled to their feet, chains dragging behind them. The older sister pulled her sibling forward, but the younger stumbled, her legs weak from captivity. The human caught her with his free hand. Steadying her, his jaw clenched, he would not let them fall. 3 guards blocked their path, their weapons glowing. The human tightened his grip on his blade. His breath came heavy. He knew he couldn't fight them all head on, not while protecting the sisters. He had to gamble again. He stepped forward. Raising his weapon high, his voice boomed. "You don't want to do this, look around you. Your commander doesn't lead you with honor. He leads you with fear. Is that the kind of soldier you are?" The guards hesitated. Glancing at one another, their grips faltered. The commander roared, "Do not listen, kill them." The human lunged before they could decide. His blade slashed downward, forcing the nearest guard to block. Sparks lit the air in that moment of distraction. The older sister swung her stolen weapon with all her strength, striking another guard's arm. The soldier cried out, his weapon falling. The younger sister, though trembling, bent quickly and grabbed the fallen weapon. Her hand shook, but she raised it. pointing it toward the enemy. The guards froze at the sight. Their hesitation deepened. The human shouted again, his voice raw. "You see, they will fight, they will not break. And I will die before I let you harm them." The chamber filled with clashing steel and shouts. The human fought with everything he had. His blade met strike after strike, his body burning with exhaustion. His breath ragged, yet his spirit unbroken. The sisters stood close behind him, fighting when they could, dodging when they couldn't. Their fear had not vanished, but courage had replaced despair. For every strike they blocked, for every step they took forward, their bond grew stronger. The doors were nearly shut. The human's eyes widened. He had no time. He shouted, "There!" through the side passage. He pointed toward a narrow corridor on the left, the locking mechanism glowing faintly. The older sister dashed to it, dragging her sibling with her. The human slammed his shoulder into a guard. Forcing him back, he swung his blade hard, cutting through the lock with a shower of sparks. The door groaned, then slid open, revealing a dim corridor beyond. "Go!" he shouted, his voice raw, his body bleeding and battered. But his will unbroken. The sisters hesitated, their eyes wide with fear. "Not without you," the younger cried. The human shook his head sharply. "I'm right behind you, move." They obeyed, darting into the corridor. Their footsteps echoed, their chains clinking. The commander's roar filled the chamber. "Do not let them escape, kill the human. Kill the girls." His blade flared with deadly light as he charged forward. The human turned, his body a wall between the commander and the fleeing sisters. His blade raised, his breath steady, his voice a whisper only he could hear. "Not today, not ever," the commander struck. Their blades clashed, sparks exploded. The chamber shook with the force of their duel. Guards rushed to join, but hesitation still plagued them. Some froze, unwilling to step forward. Others fought half-heartedly. The sisters looked back from the corridor, their eyes wide with terror. But the human shouted, "Keep running, do not stop." They obeyed, their footsteps vanishing into the darkness of the passage. Behind them, the chamber blazed with fire and fury. A single human, bloodied and chained, standing against an empire's commander. Defiance burning in his eyes, and with every strike, every roar, every drop of blood spilled, he knew. This was only the beginning of their escape. The corridor was narrow and dim, its walls pulsing faintly with red warning lights. The sisters stumbled forward, their bare feet slapping against the cold floor. The older one clutched her sibling's hand tightly, dragging her along even as her lungs burned behind them. The sound of clashing blades and furious roars shook the chamber. The human was still fighting, holding the commander back alone. "Keep moving," the older whispered, though her own legs trembled. The younger's voice cracked. "But he's still there. What if he doesn't make it?" Her silver eyes glistened with fear. The older sister swallowed hard. She didn't want to imagine it. But deep inside, she felt something powerful. He had already risked everything for them. He wouldn't stop now, not until he had given them a chance to live. "He will," she said firmly, though her voice shook. "He promised." Suddenly, a loud crash echoed down the corridor. A guard had broken through from another entrance. His weapon hummed as he raised it toward them. The sisters froze, their hearts pounding. The younger one raised the weapon she had taken earlier, her hands shaking violently. The guard sneered. "You think you can fight me? Girl." He stepped forward, ready to strike. But before his blade could fall, the human appeared, battered and bloodied, his chest heaving, one arm burned from a glancing strike, but his eyes fierce. He lunged from behind and slammed his stolen blade into the guard's side. Sparks exploded as the alien collapsed to the ground. The sisters gasped, relief flooded their faces. The human leaned heavily against the wall, his breath ragged. "I told you. I'd be right behind," he muttered. His voice was rough but steady. The younger sister dropped her weapon and threw her arms around him, tears streaming. "You came, I thought. I thought you would never." The human managed a faint smile despite the pain. "I'm not leaving you, not now, not ever." The older sister helped steady him, her eyes searching his wounds. Blood streaked his arm and shoulder. Burns laced his skin, yet he still stood unbroken. She whispered softly, almost in awe. Why would you risk so much for us? We are nothing to you." The human shook his head slowly. "No one is nothing, not to me. Not while I can still fight." The sisters stared at him. And in that moment something changed. He was no longer just a stranger forced into their nightmare. He was their shield, their ally, a bond forged not by blood, but by fire. Come on, he said, forcing himself upright. His legs shook, but he pushed forward. We need to move. They'll send more. Together they ran down the corridor. The older sister supported him with one arm, while still clutching her sibling's hand. The younger carried the stolen weapon awkwardly, but her eyes shone with determination. As they turned a corner, they stumbled into another squad of guards blocking the path. Their weapons glowed as they shouted, "Stop! Surrender now." The human stepped forward, planting himself between the sisters and the guards. His voice rang out low and steady. No, not today. The guards hesitated. Some recognized him from the chamber, the human who had defied the commander. They saw his bloodied face, his chains broken, the two sisters clinging to him, and doubt flickered again. The human raised his blade high, though his arm trembled. If you want them, you'll have to go through me. The sisters suddenly stepped beside him, not behind. The older lifted her stolen weapon, holding it steady despite her shaking hands. The younger raised hers as well, her grip firm this time. They stood shoulder to shoulder with him, fragile but unyielding. The human glanced at them, surprise flashing in his eyes. "What are you doing?" he hissed. The older sister's voice was quiet but steady. "We fight with you. We are not afraid anymore," the younger added, her small voice trembling yet fierce. "We will not leave you alone." A fierce pride surged through him. For the first time, he wasn't protecting them alone. They were standing with him. Together they formed a line, defiance blazing brighter than fear. The guards wavered. Their hands trembled on their weapons. The commander's orders still echoed in their minds. But the sight before them was powerful. One human and two fragile girls standing united against them all. The human's voice rang out like thunder. "You see this is strength, not cruelty, not fear, but courage. If you strike now, you strike against everything honorable. Is that what you want to be?" The guards faltered. Some lowered their weapons. Others stepped back, muttering uneasily. The corridor filled with tension, heavy and uncertain. Then from behind, another alarm blared. A deep metallic voice announced, "Containment breach, level 2 lockdown." Heavy blast doors began to descend at the far end of the hall. The human's eyes widened. He grabbed both sisters' hands. "Move now." Together they sprinted, their chains clinking, their breaths ragged. The guards shouted but did not fire, their hesitation too deep. They dove under the closing blast door just in time, the metal slamming shut behind them with a deafening crash, sealing the path. The three of them collapsed in the next corridor, panting, bruised but alive. The human leaned back against the wall, his chest heaving. The sisters clung to him on each side, tears mixing with exhausted smiles. For a moment they simply breathed together. Their hearts pounded in the same rhythm, their bodies pressed close in shared survival. The bond was no longer fragile. It was strong, unshakable, forged in fire and defiance. The older sister whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "We are yours now, human, whatever happens. We will stand with you." The younger one nodded fiercely. "Always." The human closed his eyes, his bloodied hand resting gently on theirs. "Then we'll stand together until the end." And for the first time since the nightmare began, the darkness around them felt a little less heavy. The blast doors sealed behind them with a heavy crash. The echoes lingered in the long corridor. The three figures leaned against the wall, one human, two alien sisters, each battered, each trembling but alive. Their breaths came in ragged gasps, but in their eyes burned a light stronger than fear. The human steadied himself. Pushing off the wall, his wounds throbbed. His arms were streaked with blood and burns, but he ignored the pain. He looked at the sisters, their silver eyes reflecting the dim light. Their hands still clung to his as if letting go meant death. He gave them a small nod. "We're not finished yet. We must keep moving." The older sister swallowed hard. "Where do we go?" "The whole fortress is hunting us." The human glanced ahead. The corridor sloped upward, faint air currents brushing against his face. "Toward the surface," he said firmly. "Light means freedom. We'll find it." They moved together, every step echoing loudly. The alarm still wailed, but farther now. Muffled by thick walls, the fortress was alive with chaos. Soldiers shouting orders, metal doors slamming shut. Yet in that chaos, their escape was hidden. The younger sister stumbled, her legs weak. The human caught her before she fell. "Easy," he whispered. "You're stronger than you think." She looked up at him, tears streaking her face, and for the first time, she smiled. As they climbed, the human's mind replayed the commander's voice. The cruelty of the impossible choice. He had been ordered to decide who lived and who died. But he had chosen something different. He had chosen both. That choice had sparked rebellion in the eyes of the guards, had cracked the commander's control, and had brought hope to two broken girls. Suddenly, heavy footsteps thundered behind them. A squad of soldiers burst into the corridor, their weapons glowing. The sisters froze, clutching each other. The human stepped forward, raising his stolen blade despite his exhaustion, but something unexpected happened. The soldiers didn't fire, their weapons were aimed, but their eyes were uncertain. One of them shouted, "Commander says kill them," but his voice trembled. The human's voice rang out strong despite his pain. "You know this isn't right. You saw it in the chamber. You saw two sisters willing to die for each other. You saw me refuse to choose. Ask yourselves, is this honor? Is this justice?" The soldiers hesitated. Their grips loosened. Their eyes flickered toward one another. Then one by one, a few lowered their weapons. The leader of the squad growled, "Obey." But his words had lost weight. The older sister stepped forward, her voice trembling but clear. "Please let us go. We don't want to hurt anyone. We only want to live," the younger added softly. "Would you kill us only because he ordered it?" The silence was heavy. Then slowly the soldiers stepped aside. Their weapons lowered fully. The leader cursed but did not fire. His hands shook. He turned away. The human bowed his head slightly, gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. Then he guided the sisters forward at the end of the corridor. A hatch opened with a hiss. Cold night air rushed in, carrying with it the scent of freedom. The three of them stumbled outside onto rocky ground beneath an alien sky. Stars glittered like silver fires. The sisters looked up, their breaths catching. It was the first time in many cycles they had seen the stars. The human knelt, his body finally giving way to exhaustion. The sisters dropped beside him, holding his arms. He smiled faintly. "We made it," the older sister's voice broke with emotion. "Because of you. Because you chose us both." The younger nodded fiercely, tears shining. "You could have chosen one. You could have chosen yourself, but you didn't. You chose love. You chose all of us." The human's gaze moved between them. His voice was quiet but steady. "That is what makes us human. We don't abandon those who need us, not if we can still stand. Not if we can still fight." The sisters leaned into him, one on each side. Their chains still clinking softly, but no longer symbols of despair, now only reminders of what they had survived. Together they watched the alien sky, breathing freedom for the first time. Far behind, alarms still echoed from the fortress. The commander raged within his walls, his empire shaken by one act of defiance. One man had refused to choose cruelty, and in doing so he had lit a spark. That spark would spread. Whispers would carry through the prison cells, through the soldiers who hesitated, through the people who saw that mercy was stronger than fear. The empire had tried to force weakness, but instead, it had revealed humanity's greatest strength. The older sister lifted her head, her voice soft but full of fire. "We are with you now, human. Whatever comes, we are yours." The younger squeezed his hand tightly. "Always." The human closed his eyes for a moment, letting their words settle deep into his weary soul. Then he whispered, "Then together, we'll change everything." The night stretched wide before them, filled with stars, filled with danger, but also filled with hope.